Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching 777 Television with Watson Williams, founder and president of 777 Technologies and the sole holder of United States patent number 11777714. I hope you're doing well today. This video has 3 parts. First, we will review an article that provides additional evidence that manual encryption is superior to automated encryption. Then, we will present our first exclusive software product. Finally, we will talk about global variables and the road to offering an online service. And without further ado, let's continue to today's topics. In another article from the Hacker News, published February 26th of this year, entitled "Lockbit Ransomware Group Resurfaces After Law Enforcement Takedown," we read that the threat actors behind the Lockbit ransomware operation have resurfaced on the dark web using new infrastructure days after an international law enforcement exercise seized control of its servers. To that end, the notorious group has moved its data leak portal to a new .onion address on the Tor network, listing 12 new victims as of writing. The administrator behind Lockbit, in a lengthy follow-up message, said some of their websites were confiscated by most likely exploiting a critical PHP flaw, acknowledging that they didn't update PHP due to personal negligence and irresponsibility. I encourage you to read the full article for yourself. It provides a fascinating window into some of the exchanges being had between cyber criminals and law enforcement in the present day, and is reminiscent, to me at least, of the popular anime series Death Note, wherein the mastermind, Light Yagami, toys with the police and can't resist sending them clues that ultimately lead to his undoing. Most relevant for us is the following quote: "I will stop being lazy and make it so that absolutely every build locker will be with maximum protection. Now there will be no automatic trial decrypt. All trial decrypts and the issuance of decryptors will be made only in manual mode. Thus, in the possible next attack, the FBI will not be able to get a single decryptor for free. Ha 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 ha." And so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Over-reliance on automation leads to vulnerabilities that may be resolved by engaging in manual encryption practices. We don't have to understand the details to understand the concept. That equally applies to the previous article we covered about Rhizida ransomware, where we first read that automated key generation presented a design vulnerability authorities were able to exploit. With Lockbit ransomware, it's basically the same story. And so the signs point to a general situation where hackers are reeling over the use of too much automation, leading to security breaches by the authorities. And what is end-to-end email encryption, ladies and gentlemen, but another form of automation that perhaps we shouldn't be so quick to blindly trust? In any case, manual encryption with matrix encryption is superior, as, let me be clear, it does not use any automation to generate keys. The process is completely up to the user. Despite this article being about cybercriminals, it is from cybercriminals that we can get some of the best advice for data protection and how to be a hard target if we can but read between the lines. Now presenting our first available software product, available exclusively in the United States for Matrix Essentials Series 1 Fox. Features include a command prompt interface, factory codecs, so no custom codecs, more on that later, and a key set generator, all for $39.95 plus tax. First, given the section on over-automation we just heard, note that the function that generates the key set does not generate the master key that authors the key set, but takes it as input from the user, so there is no algorithmic procedure there to be exploited. We'll cover more on keys and key processing in a future video. With Fox, you get just the very basic functionality. You give commands in command prompt. There is no graphical user interface, but Fox is the perfectly affordable option for those just starting out on their journey to mindful data protection. you will receive source code in Python files that are included in the package folder. Once your payment has been processed, the Fox package will be downloadable through an invite to our Google Drive that we will email to you. Order while you can. This is a limited time offer. The lifetime of this offer and others like it to follow is entirely contingent on our ability to get recurring paid encryption services operational on our website. More on that topic momentarily. Let's take a quick look at the Fox product specifications. There's a lot of arcana in here, and it would be easy to talk an hour over the various attributes listed, but I just want to draw the big picture for you, that you're getting Python source code, you're getting a contract key that will be like your password when you log in to the program, and you are contractually obligated not to alter the source code in any way. In fact, our updated user agreement is in production and will be forthcoming, so stand by for a user agreement video. Fox is our most primitive software version, but this will become easier to understand why through comparison as additional products become available for purchase. One key point of why Fox is primitive is that it requires keys taken as input to be of a precise length, twice the character count of the raw data exactly. The solution at the time was to use a function to generate a set of keys of increasing lengths, a sort of blanket approach. This requires too much storage space, however, and is much less efficient than a later design implementation we will reveal at a later date. The entire folder size is only about 1.3 megabytes and contains everything you need to get started. We're available for free setup support and troubleshooting. To order, email 777technologiesllc@gmail.com or call 251-709-9009. Recalling that our source code software offers are for a limited time only, when it comes to offering a recurring paid encryption service on our website, this is of course the goal and preferable, but there are a couple of things, as you may at this point be wondering, standing in the way of getting there. One is logistical and procedural, the other technical. As far as the logistical problem is concerned, we simply need to open a business bank account before we can get approved by a payment processor in order to be able to receive online payments. These steps are well underway and should be resolved in the coming days and weeks. The other problem standing in the way involves something called global variables. According to realpython.com, a global variable is a variable that you can use from any part of a program, including within functions. Using global variables inside your Python functions can be tricky. You'll need to differentiate between accessing and changing the values of the target global variables if you want your code to work correctly. Global variables can play a fundamental role in many software projects because they enable data sharing across an entire program. However, you should use them judiciously to avoid issues. The article goes on to give strategies to avoid using global variables and closes by saying, now you know what it takes to correctly use global variables inside functions in Python so you can use them effectively where appropriate. You also know that avoiding global variables is the best way to go most of the time. This will allow you to write more modular, maintainable, and reusable code. Now that we have an idea about what global variables are, know that I'm not a programmer by profession and that all current implementations of our application, including the web version, use global variables. I didn't have any problems using them until our web app went live, at which point I started noticing occasional output errors when encrypting and decrypting, presumably because for multiple users accessing the program simultaneously, the global variables exist in a single global session or instance, which causes cross-contamination of data. In other words, when I began coding, I did not have any idea that global variables would cause problems for scalability until the website was already live. One user on Stack Overflow asked for thoughts on global variables with multiple users. He said, "I'm using global variables in my web application. The web application does have a login and can allow multiple users. The global variables are used to store data for the items currently being processed. Will my application be in chaos if multiple users try to access these global variables, or will it be just global in their respective workstation? If it will create chaos, what's the best way to replace the global variables?" The top response said, "Don't use static variables in your application. They are shared across all sessions, since they are kept in the web server, not on clients. You have a few options, etc." So the conclusion here is clear. Global variables are a big problem for web applications, but there are ways to fix the problem, and we will be looking into this issue further. When we can replace the global variables and thereby scale our app up to supporting multiple segregated sessions, we'll be able to move forward towards providing a paid encryption service with recurring payments. But until then, the various offline versions work perfectly fine, regardless of their many global variables, and are available for purchase exclusively in the US for a limited time. Act now to own a piece of American history in the making.